All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to one of our pre-recorded trainings. This one will be on the Project Search member portal. My name is Carly Detlefson. I am a program specialist with our Project Search headquarters office. And joining me today is...
Hi, I'm Molly Michaels. I'm also a program specialist for Project Search headquarters.
All right. So today we are going to talk about the Project Search member portal. So how do you get to the Project Search member portal? You go to our Project Search webpage. The home page of our website on the top right-hand corner will have a button that says user login, which you can see here by the red arrow. Click on user login, you'll enter your login credentials. And when you do that, it will take you to the home page of the Project Search member portal, which looks something like this. So across the top, we have this live banner that runs, tells us how many active program sites we have in how many US states, how many countries, and the number of people that we have served since 2010. So that is a live banner that updates in real time. As interns are entered, as programs are opened, as programs are closed, those numbers tick up and down in real time. You'll see on the page what we affectionately refer to as our Monopoly cards, your program, calendar, curriculum. We're going to kind of go through all of these pages today. I'm going to talk briefly about what each of these cards entails, and then Molly, a little bit later on, is going to jump into a live demonstration and take you into the member portal live and kind of click through some of the features that we're going to talk about today. On the left-hand side, you will see a button for your profile where you can update any of the information within your profile. You have a My Training page, which we're going to show you in a little bit. And then there are some other things you see here on the screen that are specific to me as a program specialist. So a typical user wouldn't necessarily have this dashboard or staff only section. You would just see your profile, your training, and the log out button. So what is the member portal and why should your team use it? Well, it really does promote communication among your team as well as with other program sites. So many of you hopefully are familiar with PS Let's Chat. That is a way that you can connect to other program sites across the world. It is where the national team always updates information. So Model Fidelity Component number 6 talks about continuous improvement, and the national team obviously practices that as well. And anytime that we need to update a form or create a new form or do any updates to the curriculum, all of that gets posted in the member portal. And that's where you find all of your up-to-date materials to help run your program. It's where your team can stay up to date on all your personnel changes. And it's where, of course, you're going to enter all of your internship, and employment outcome information. It is where, like we said, all of the resources and tools to run your program are going to be located. And every member of your team should have their own portal login. So while this is a secure login only database, everybody on your team, anybody associated with your Project Search team should have their own unique login to the portal. It's not top secret information. Nobody should be sharing logins. Each person on your team can and should have their own login to the member portal. So how do you get access to the portal? So access to the portal is granted basically in one of two ways. Either your program specialist can enter people into the portal for your program site, or each site has two people that are assigned as what we call the program site database coordinators. And those two people have the ability to add contacts to the member portal. So typically when a program site is starting up, the program specialist will add probably some of the key members as part of that planning team into the member portal. We'll assign the two people that the team wants as the program site database coordinators. And then from that point on, the program site database coordinators can then enter partner organizations and enter contacts into the member portal, and can also assign any of the other database roles within the portal. So the program specialist is going to basically enter some people into the portal. The team is going to identify who those program site database coordinators are going to be. Program specialist is going to enter those folks into the portal and enter them into those roles. And then from that point, the program site database coordinator will add the rest of the team members. And like we said, assign the other database roles. So aside from the program site database coordinator, there are three additional roles that somebody can have in the member portal. The majority of your team is going to be entered as a basic user, and we'll talk about kind of what privileges they have as a basic user. You're going to identify two people to be what we call the IDEC, or the intern data entry coordinators, and two people who are going to be the GDECs, or the graduate data entry coordinators. So what do all four of these roles, what do they have the ability to do? So again, your program site database coordinators, those are the two people, a maximum of two people assigned to that role, who have all of the basic user functions, so they can view various pieces of information. They can view organizations' contacts, some aggregate intern data. They can run reports. They have access to all of the other resources in the portal, such as PS Let's Chat, the video library, the calendar. So any of the cards there in the member portal they have access to. And their special superpowers are that as the program site database coordinator, again, they can add and edit any of the partner organizations and the contacts. So they're going to add partner organizations. They're going to add contacts to the portal. Your team members will be added to the portal by these two people. And then again, they also have the ability to assign the other database roles. So if I'm assigned as an intern data entry coordinator, and again, in this role, you can only have a maximum of two people assigned to that role. Again, they have the same basic user function, viewing organizations' contacts, some intern information, running reports, and access to all of the tools in the portal. But they are the two people who are going to add your program year each year, and they're going to add your interns, their internships, the skills they're working on, the VOC-Fit subscales they're working on, and then ultimately their employment outcomes as well. Your graduate data entry coordinators, again, all the same basic functions, and their superpower is that they are going to enter and edit any employment status after the 9-month reporting period. So after the 9-month reporting deadline for a given cohort, anything that happens after that time frame, any updates that need to be made to the employment, that's the responsibility of the graduate data entry coordinators. In a little bit, we're going to show you a slide that's going to kind of visually show you the difference between what the intern data entry coordinator controls and what the graduate data entry coordinators control. And then your basic users, you can have an unlimited number of basic users, and those individuals, again, access to all of the resources. They can view organizations, see the contacts within their program. They can view some basic aggregate intern information and also have abilities to run reports. So now we'll kind of take a little bit of a deeper dive, where I'm just going to kind of give you a brief explanation about kind of what each of these cards has and does for your team. And then, like we said, in a little bit, Molly's going to go in and do a live demonstration in the member portal. So the first one is your program page, and that's probably the one that you're going to spend a lot of time in. Your program page is where all of the information about your program is listed. So when you log into the portal and you click on the My Program card, any program that you're associated with is going to show up in a list. For most of you, that's probably just going to be the one program that you're tied to. But there might be a community rehab provider that might have multiple programs. There might be a local VOC rehab office that is associated with multiple programs, and so they might see more than one program. But for the vast majority of you, when you click on My Program, you're just going to see your program, because that's probably obviously the only one that you're connected with. So in your My Program page, you're going to see lots of things. You're going to have lots of tabs, but this is where you're going to enter your information, enter your data and all of your information. So we always say, no need to wait until the data reporting deadline. Always enter information as it happens. So when you have the dates, the starting and ending day of your cohort, you're going to add your program card. So you're going to list what is your start date, what is your end date. You're going to enter your interns. In this page, you're going to enter each of their 3 internships, which again entails entering what skills they're working on, what VOC-Fit subscales they're working on, and then ultimately you're going to enter the employment when they get hired into a job, or you're going to enter an unemployment status if the intern has not been employed or was employed and lost the job. You'll be entering either their employment or unemployment status to kind of tell the story of what's happened since the program ended. So we always say no need to wait until the reporting deadline to enter all of this. You should enter data as it happens. So if you do that, typically in a program year, you're going to be entering data a minimum of 5 times throughout the year. So again, somewhere around orientation, you're going to enter your program year card. You're going to enter all of your interns and their demographic information. Then during the first internship rotation, you're going to enter that. What department are they in? What skills are they working on? What VOC-FIT subscales? During the second internship, you're going to enter that second internship data, and you're going to enter your third internship rotation data, and then ultimately at the end, you're going to enter their employment status, whether they are employed or unemployed. So throughout the course of a program year, a minimum of 5 times throughout the year, you're going to be entering data. And again, entering it in real time, not waiting till the end of the program year to enter everything. You should enter it as it occurs. On your program page, when you open it up, you're going to have several tabs. We're going to save summary for last because that's probably the biggest one. Organizations and contacts, this is where you're going to add or edit any of your partner organizations, and of course, add or edit any of the contacts. Again, this is the responsibility of the program site database coordinators that are assigned to your program. The details tab is the other one where the program site database coordinator typically goes into, and that's where they're going to assign and change any of those database roles. So they're going to assign the 2 people who are going to be the IDEC, assign the 2 people who are going to be the GDEC, and ultimately where the program specialist also assigns the 2 program site database coordinators. So your program site database coordinator mostly has a lot of the function in the organization and contacts tab, as well as the details tab for adding and editing partners, contacts, and changing database roles. You have a training tab. So on the home page of the portal, on the left-hand side, I showed you a button that said My Training, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And that's where your individual specific trainings are listed, where you mark off which ones you've completed. But on the training tab of your program page, you're going to see kind of a snapshot of all of the team members associated with your program and what their status is with their trainings. Which ones have they completed? Which ones are still missing for all of your teams? You would see everybody's training status on this tab. The interns tab, again, this is where you're going to add and edit your interns, putting in their demographic information, adding their internships, their skills, and their employment ultimately. And then the licensing and TA tab, this is maintained by Project Search headquarters. This is where we log the date with which your license was signed, when the license was paid, kind of where all of your training, where we keep track of all of your training and technical assistance, and where we maintain the record of the annual licensing renewal fee and when that's been paid. So earlier I said we'd show you a visual that kind of helped explain the difference between what the IDEC enters and what the GDEC enters. So when you're looking at your interns tab, for most of you throughout the course of a program year, through most of the program year, you're going to have 2 cards at the top of the screen. One is going to have your current program year card, and one is going to be last year's program year. So any cards that fall in the top half of that screen, those are the ones where the intern data entry coordinator is responsible for updating that information. So adding your interns, adding the internships of your current cohort, and then by the reporting deadline, updating employment status of last year's cohort. So the two cards at the top are typically there for most of the year. Most programs have a reporting deadline of either the end of February or the end of March. Some programs might have a reporting deadline that's a little different, maybe in April. But up until that point, you'll have 2 cards at the top of the screen. Once you pass the reporting deadline, so let's say if this program's reporting deadline is the end of February, come March 1st, this card is going to drop down to the bottom under the graduate program years. Any of the cohorts that fall in the graduate program year section of this page, those are the cohorts that are then edited by the graduate data entry coordinator or the GDEC. So they do any updates or changes to employment status after the reporting deadline. So any cards at the top of the page, the IDEC is responsible for. Any of the program years at the bottom of the page under the graduate program year heading, the graduate data entry coordinator is responsible for updating. So, how do you know if your data is entered correctly? On your summary page, you're going to have a graph at the very top. If you're a program that's been around for at least 5 years, you will see 5 years worth of data graphs at the top of your summary page. If you're a program and you've only been open for maybe 2 or 3 years, those are the only program years you would see at the top. But this, at the top of your summary page, it has the capacity to show you the last 5 years worth of cohorts. So on the far right, it will show you your active program year, so your current cohort year. Then it will show you your current outcome year, which was last year's cohort, because that's the one you're reporting employment on. And then it will show you up to 3 additional prior years of data. So what does all of this mean? And I'm not going to talk extensively about it because Molly's going to really show you a lot of this in the live demonstration. But what we want you to do is we want you to look at the graphs on your summary page and see if there are some things about your data that don't look correct. And if you see things that don't look correct, we want you to reach out to your program specialist and say, hey, I was looking at the summary data and something doesn't look right. Can you explain to me why X, Y, or Z? So on your summary data, again, you're going to have, let's say, your current outcome year. So last year's cohort, the 23-24 cohort is the one that you have just reported data on. It will show you how many interns were enrolled in that cohort. The blue bar tells you how many interns were employed, and the green bar tells you how many of those employed interns have employment that meets the 4 specific project search criteria: 16 hours or more, typical prevailing wage, non-seasonal work, and in an integrated setting. The dotted yellow line there is our threshold for our employment awards that we give out every summer at the conference. So 70% threshold is what is needed in order to gain an award. So again, you'll see how many interns were enrolled, how many got jobs, how many of those jobs met criteria, are they going to get an award? And then you'll see these little award symbols at the top. The goldish yellowish one means they got 100%, and the blue one means you got an award for falling somewhere between 70 and 99%. If you do notice that there are some errors in your data, we recommend that you reach out to your program specialist. If you're not sure how to find your program specialist or who your program specialist is, they are actually located in 2 different spots in the member portal at least. One is on your summary page, and we'll show you that a little bit towards the end where you'll see that, but your program specialist is listed on your summary page, and then they're also listed on the details tab. So if you click on the details tab, it will also show you who your program specialist is and their email address that you can click on and either copy or click on and take you directly to your email to email them. I mentioned earlier on the home page, you had a My Training tab. So again, this one is specific to your training requirements based on your role within your Project Search program. So when you go to that, and you can get to that either on the home page by the orange button, or if you're already in the portal and you've been in some of the other sections, you know that on the left-hand side, you also have this gray navigation bar. You can also find the My Training on the gray navigation bar. When you click on that, again, it's going to open your specific training dashboard. If you have never been to this page and you need a little tutorial, you can take a tour and it will kind of walk you step by step through this page. But basically, it's going to show you all of the trainings. And then again, based on your role, whether it's a required training or if it's not required based on your role, this box would say optional. This is all self-report. So when you complete a training, you go in and you enter the date that you completed the training, and then it will flip this box to green completed. If you have a red missing box, that means that that training is required and you haven't taken it yet. And again, as soon as you enter the date that you took it, that box will flip to green. It will track how many courses, how many trainings are required, and of those required, how many you've completed. You can see a progress bar under each of the different training topics or categories, such as Introduction and Planning, the Project Search Fundamentals, or the Staff Training, which we'll show you in a minute. Another feature is the calendar. So the calendar is a nice handy tool that lets you know when we are having virtual trainings, as well as help sessions for Voc We run help sessions for the member portal as well. So you can go to the calendar. It will show you any of the events that are going on that month. So this was May 2025's calendar where we were running some fundamentals. So again, you could look on here and find when a training is being offered. When you click on the training, a little side drawer is going to open up from the right-hand side, and it's going to kind of give you a brief description of what that training is about and a button where you can register. So handy tool, definitely use the calendar because again, it's where you're going to find all of the training, virtual trainings, as well as any VocFit help sessions, member portal help sessions that we might be running in a given month. If you are a United States program or United States and Canada program, we always say go in here and unclick the box that says DFN. It'll be a yellow box when it's actually checked. Go in and unclick that, and that way you don't see the trainings that are occurring for all of our partners in England. So they have their own trainings that they put on the calendar. Again, at very different times than a typical United States or Canadian program. So if you go in and you uncheck that box, then their trainings will come off and you will see just the United States trainings that are being offered for US Canada. So just a tip you can do so that way they will never appear on your calendar. PS Let's Chat. That is our platform where you can connect with any of the programs worldwide. PS Let's Chat moved to a different platform recently. We're on a new platform called Discourse. If you've never clicked on the PS Let's Chat card since the launch of Discourse, it will actually have you click a button so that you can get a link to be invited to the new platform. But once you get on the new platform, we encourage you to go around, click around, explore. There are different categories. You can go in and see what people are saying, what kind of questions people are asking. You can pose your own question and get sites from around the world to answer your question. Obviously, you can go to your program specialist, but sometimes it's fun just to kind of hear and see what other program sites are doing across the world. So you can go in and kind of click through these categories. There's a lot of different categories on here. We know that graduations are happening right now, so maybe you want to see like what kind of cool things other people are doing with their graduations. You can get ideas, and again, like I said, you can pose questions and have people from any site answer your question. It's a really fun platform. The staff training card, this will take you to the staff training page, which is the Project Search Academy page. This is where we have some of our online trainings. These are on this page, there are 10 trainings that are about the key concepts of Project Search. They're each about 20 minutes each, so they're pretty short. They have a quiz at the end. If you take the quiz, it will also then give you the option to print a certificate that you can then use to turn in for professional development points if that is something that you have available to you. Again, a great activity to do with your steering committee. Watch one of these together at a steering committee meeting. Again, they're only about 20 minutes. They're pretty animated, so they're fairly easy to watch and get through. Like we said, quiz at the end, printable certificate. Of the 10, the first 7 are typically the ones that are required by staff that are entering into a project search program. And then we have 3 extra topical ones that you can watch as well that would be optional. If you are an individual who is eligible for CRCC credits on this same page, it will tell you how you can log your CRCC credits for watching the Academy courses. Tells you how many credits they will give you for the courses, and again, instructions on how you can do that. Also on this page, we have our Creating an Inclusive Work Environment module. So this was created to be kind of a module that would have quick tips and ideas for managers and mentors. So something you can definitely use with your host business, especially if your host business has questions or concerns or just in general wants to kind of learn more about how to work with individuals with disabilities. It's a really great module that was put together for the host business to help teach them, how do you work with individuals with disabilities. So that is available on the staff training page as well. Your reports card is where you're going to be able to run a variety of reports for your program. I think sometimes this is one of the most underutilized sections of the member portal, and it's really one that can help you when you're doing your recruitment efforts, because you can run reports like your annual outcomes for the past however many years you want to run them for. You can run what is the average number of hours per week that our graduates are working and the average wage that they are earning. It is a really great way to brag about your program and use in your marketing and recruitment materials. You can also run other reports, like you can run a jobs type report. So you can run a report that shows you the types of jobs that your graduates have obtained since when they obtained employment after the program. You can run one with list of contacts, partner organizations. These are great reports to run in the beginning of the program year to make sure that your contacts for your program is up to date. So has anybody left? Do we have a new team member? So you can run that report and you can say, oh, this person has left or retired. Oh, we have a new skills trainer. We need to get them entered. So it's a good way to keep track of making sure that your contacts are up to date in the member portal. We have the video library. Again, I think another one of our most underutilized resources in the portal that, again, you could use for recruitment purposes. You can use it at information nights. So go into the video library. We have two different views in the video library. One is called the thumbnail view. So when you click on the video library card, you're going to see kind of this thumbnail view. It's for the most part in alphabetical order, and it's categorized by different topics. You can click on the view playlist and it will show you like the thumbnails for all 8 videos, let's say, that are in the adult program model category. And then you could click and watch any of the 8 videos from there. So it will tell you how many videos are in that category. You can click on the playlist and see them all, and then obviously watch them or share links to them. The other view, which I think a lot of people use more often, is the searchable list view. So if you click on list view, if you want to see videos on examples of graduations, you could type graduation in the search bar and it will bring up all the videos that are in the graduation category. Sometimes people that are in the video library a lot, they're like, what's been recently added? So if you go to the list view, you can search by date published and you can see the videos that have been added most recently to kind of see what's new in the video library. You can also, again, sort by category. So you have lots of different filterable fields there that you can sort by if you're looking for something specific. Toolkit is probably one of the most used cards you're going to have in the portal. And again, that's where all of your resources are. So that's where you're going to find your essential documents. We also have some instructions for the member portal. We post our Project Search year in review. Is a resource guide for our programs that are associated in England, Ireland, and Iberia, our DFN program. So if you are not a program in the UK, Ireland, or Iberia, you would not need to go in here because those are specific to their programs. We have a folder specifically for Canada. So again, if you're not a Canadian team, you would not need to go into that folder. And then we developed resources during COVID. We left them up because they're pretty valuable lessons in here and things that you can do. Even when interns might be out for extended periods of time, you can find some things in here that still might be worth using with your current interns. But essential documents is the one that you're probably going to use the most. And again, in essential documents, you're going to have a variety of folders. This is where all of the resources are to run your program. So any tools and resources you need to help with the employment planning meetings are going to be in this folder. So things like the intern PowerPoint, the intern script. So anything related to employment planning meetings, you're going to find them in that folder. So we have all of these different folders. Again, best thing to do is just to click around and just go in there, noodle around and see what you find. But lots of great resources in here to help you run your program, especially with recruitment and selection. Lots of great documents in there to help you with skills assessment day. There are rubrics in there. So again, please don't feel like you have to create documents to run your program. We don't want you to reinvent the wheel. If there's something you need, it should be in here. If you don't find it in here, again, please ask your program specialist because if it's not in here, it's something we can possibly create for you. We don't want you to spend time having to create documents. Those are things that we can do to help support your team. Curriculum card, again, one that your instructor will be in a lot. This is where all of the different curricula for Project Search is housed. So the main employability skills curriculum is in here, and then other supplemental curricula that we have, like our Building Healthy Relationships our diversity and inclusion awareness in the workplace. Lessons for living, learning, and working, that's our pre-transition curriculum. And then again, skill building activities for home, extended breaks, interns who might be out because of maybe a surgery or they're going to be home for a couple of weeks, things that you can do to keep their skills fresh while they're at home. Our main employability skills curriculum is 9 units. This was created by 25 experienced project search instructors from across the US and the UK. So this was not the program specialist sitting around in a think tank trying to create lessons. These were lessons that were actually created by project search instructors, an OT doc student, some of our national staff, and then some other specialists that we asked to be a part of the creation of this employability skills curriculum. So it was created in 2021, and then we did a huge kind of update to it in 2024. So again, if you find things in the curriculum, a link that isn't working, please email your program specialist. Our curriculum team is very dedicated to this curriculum. They're very diligent about fixing things, broken links. So if you see something, please let your program specialist know. They'll let the curriculum team know, and they'll get right on it to kind of get that fixed for you. The curriculum comes with a scope and sequence document. So again, all of the lessons, all of the different activities within the lesson, a suggested teaching time frame. So it'll say orientation or transition week or internship 1, 2, or 3, a spot for you to make notes. This is a completely editable document. So we definitely recommend, going in here, you can go in here and you can highlight the activities that you've done so that you can remember which one you've done and not, did I do that one already? So you can highlight the activities that you've done. You can make notes like, oh, you guys said this was going to take 45 minutes. Our team finished it in 20, or it took us well over an hour. So you can make notes about anything about the activities, things that you want to change or do differently the next time you teach it. So completely editable. You can highlight, type on it, whatever you need to do. Like I said, the curriculum had a major revamp in 2024. And what that did was the revamp was to take all of the lessons and combine them into one file. So previously, you had to literally click on every single individual lesson to open it, but now they've all been bundled into one file. So when you click on Unit 3 Technology Lesson Plans, you get all the lesson plans for all of the activities in the entire unit. And then the other folder would be any additional resources, handouts, worksheets, things of that nature that would go along with any of the lessons within the unit. Our diversity and inclusion awareness in the workplace, an additional curricula that was developed, supplemental curricula by Catherine McLaughlin. Again, sometimes our supplemental curriculum are developed because of instances that have happened in project search programs that we say, you know what, that's important, we need to address it. And this kind of topic was kind of one of those things that we started to see some things that kind of came up, and we developed this curriculum to kind of help teach some of those lessons. Same with the building healthy relationships at work. We were starting to see trends of things that were happening. It was like, those are really big teachable moments. So we helped, Catherine helped us create a curriculum around that. Lessons for living, learning, and working. Again, this is the pre-transition curriculum. This is available to any friend of Project Search. So any of your partners can use this curriculum with any of their students, clients, consumers. It was designed to be used regardless of whether or not that individual was going to eventually matriculate into Project Search or not. It can be used with other grade levels in high school. If you're a community rehab provider and you run other programs, you can use the curriculum with your other programs or clients. So it was developed for that purpose. All right, I think now we're going to turn it over to Molly, and then we'll come back to the slide deck at the end because we have a couple extra slides to show you at the end and share with you. So now we will turn it over to Molly for a live demonstration.
Thanks, Carly. All right, we will start at the main page where we can see our Monopoly cards, as we call them. And you can see again, we have the running ticker across the top. This changes almost daily. You can see here I have my profile. Now I have a few extra things here because I'm an administrator of the portal, but you can just ignore those things. Yours will have my profile and my training as well as all of these different cards. Now, whenever you want to navigate the portal, you can either come back to this page, or as Carly mentioned, there is the gray section on the left-hand side of the page where you can also navigate to any of these. If we go into my training, that's where you'll see your training dashboard, where you can take a little tour and see what trainings are required for your role. You can also enter the date that you completed, and that's how you indicate that you've taken it. If you say, well, I took that, but I'm not exactly sure of the exact date, you can put in a rough estimate of when that date was. That's fine. So the main part that where you're going to spend a lot of time is in my programs. And when you click into my program, that'll take you to your page. And this is an example page for a program site. So what you see on your summary page, and I'll show you one that actually has outcomes because this is our demo page. But you'll see who your program specialist is. You'll see how many interns you've had, some other key information. You can scroll down and see your instructors, your skills trainers, business liaisons, and then who is in each of those roles. And then if you have, you'll have your licensing and fiscal info. People always ask me, why can't we enter this information? This is one of the areas that we enter from the home office because people tend to get it make the changes not quite understanding what we need there. So our business office will make those changes. If you notice, like on this page, that it's missing, reach out to your program specialist and talk to us about who you think that should be, and we will do it. This is a great place where you can check. Now, if we look at a real site, we will see the example here with the program years. So this is the same one that we looked at before. And here again, one thing to notice is if there are these little eyes with a circle around it anywhere in the portal, that means that there is additional information. So if you hover over that, they're called hover tips. And if you hover over that, it'll tell you a little trick or tip for this page. So here it says hover over a bar to see more information. So that's telling me I can hover on this section. I can hover here over the little medals to see what those medals indicate. I can hover over the bar to see what the percentages are. So if we look over here, this is an interesting one because there's 89% employed and then 78% meeting criteria. So that'll tell you what that is. Again, if it doesn't look right, reach out to your program specialist, who you can find right here on this page. If we go into organizations and contacts, oops, this is a different page. Hold on. If we go into organizations and contacts, you will see the organizations that you have. You can click in and view those for more detail about individuals in those organizations. You can see the organization's address. You can see their account number for us. You can see different people who are associated with that organization, and you can see related programs. So if anybody is listed, this organization is listed in other programs, you can see that. So if there are shared programs among an education partner, you'll see it. You can also scroll down to see your page with your contacts. And here again, if you have it enabled, you can click and open up the email, or you can click on the phone number. You can just view that person's contact card and you'll see everything that they are involved with. Now, if we go into the training tab, we will see who on our team has taken training and who hasn't. You can see who's missing things. This is a great opportunity for you to say, hey, you know what? We pretty much all need, course number 2, which is Voc Fit. Should we do Voc Fit together? Should we work with our program specialist on some Voc Fit stuff? Whatever you need to do. Again, we have our hover tips here where you can hover over and see the course that is related here. We will sometimes change the order of these courses when they're offered based on what time of year it is. And so they won't always be offered in exactly the same order. So you'll want to check and make sure that you're knowing which course this is in this dashboard. If we go into details, we'll see information about the program, who is in those database roles, program details, Who is our program specialist? Are we in any reporting groups? Do we have a statewide or regional coordinator? And again, your fiscal and licensing information. Now, the interns tab is where we get into information about the folks in the program. So this is a great example because this has the 2 program years here, and we can see the program year that, as we're recording this, just finished. And so that is still, they finished the program, but we are still in their 9-month reporting period. And so they're above this line, they're in the intern program years, which means that the intern data entry coordinators are the ones who manage the data for these classes. So this cohort is going to, we're going to continue tracking them over the course of the next 9 months. And this is our new group for the fall. In this case, maybe we've had once we've had our skills assessment, we know who's coming into the program, we can start adding them at that point. And so here we can see they added the program year, did not add interns yet. If you have things that you need to do, you'll have these little to-do items. And if you click on that, that'll tell you what your to-do items are. And it's very, very handy. So if I click into this to view it, it will say, okay, so the recommended class size is 8 to 12 students. There are only 4 students in this class. Is that correct? And you have the opportunity to say, yep, we only have 4. Or we have this, there is a little reminder just in case you forgot to put in all your interns and you're missing somebody. So we'll have that, and then you'll have to add internships. If we come back out to our program years, you can also see your graduate years down here. And this is the demo site, so this has lots of different examples of what it could look like. But you'll see your graduate data. And this gives you the opportunity to continue to follow folks long term. If you know how interns are doing well after they've graduated from the program, you can go in and update their employment information, which is really, really helpful for us and for you. So your graduate program years are administered by your graduate data entry coordinator. Sometimes that'll be the same as the intern data entry coordinator, and sometimes they'll be different. So it really just depends on what works best for your program. So let's take a look at what one of these program years will look like. Once it's completed, this is what it'll look like. You'll see at the first reporting checklist what their data looked like, what the outcomes were, and then in your case, you will see the names. Now, and these are, again, fake data, if we go in, we don't see names. So if you say, I need you to update this one, this intern, or this graduate, we will need the ID number here in order to be able to do it and see it. So let's take a look at what a full intern page should look like at the end of the year. What data do you need to enter for each intern? So here I can see to-do list. There's no to-do list items for this graduate. If there were things that I was behind on or I needed a reminder on, it would be right here. For each intern, we'll enter their demographics. And as we move through the year, it'll add their internships, it'll add what their employment status is. During the intern year, it'll say intern, and then as they get a job or are unemployed, it'll stay here. We enter these graduate details, and then over here, we'll enter information about their internships. So what internships did they do? What is the department? What exactly are they doing? What are their skills description? What VOC-FIT subscales are related to what they are learning in that internship? Now, this doesn't mean you filled out VOC-FIT. This is separate, but it is a good way because it is a language that we all speak with VOC-FIT with those 133 items in VOC-FIT. It's a good way for us to have a consistent reporting of skill building for our interns. If I click on view, I'll see this great little page about this internship where I can see that this intern was in guest services and what skills was this person working on in this internship, some specific skill description. And if I wanted to put in any additional notes, I could put that in here. One thing I will make a point to say is that please do not put interns' names in these sections. It is really easy to say, oh, Carly, is working on eye contact or something like that. But then we can see that. Anybody can see that. And we really want to remain de-identified in the public, or not public, but in the parts that everybody can see other than the IDEC or the GDEC. So please don't put names in your open text descriptions here. As we come back to the intern tab, I can see that this intern is hired, is meeting all criteria. I can see what the job is, which is great. And if I wanted to edit it, I could edit and it'll start a wizard and saying, what kind of change do you want to make? What would you like to do? And the wizard will walk you through entering that data. If I want to view any changes or view more details about this job, I can come into view. I will see more details about the industry and the job category and their benefits, and a change log of anything that was changed on this entry. So at the end of the year, each one of your interns will have a page that looks like this when it's complete. So that is really what you're going to see in my programs where you'll be spending time. You will see a licensing and TA tab on yours. You will not have a notes tab. That is for internal use only. But if we are looking at your page with you, you'll see that we have a notes tab. Licensing and TA just tells you your licensing information. Have you paid your annual renewal, any deferred billing or additional paid services? Now, if we were to come back out into our main page, remember this is our landing page, we have all these other areas to look at. So let's take a look at the calendar. Carly did a great explanation of this, but when I come in here, I see every training in the world. So because I'm in the US, I'm going to unclick our DFN friends. And what I can see for June is that we have Introduction and Planning Part 1 and 2 in June. That is offered every single month, sometimes twice a month, depending on the need for it. If I come back into May, you can see we were offering our fundamentals. If I click on a fundamentals, it opens this drawer and gives me the opportunity to register for that. We offer VoqueFit 2.0 every single month. We also offer a member portal training session similar to this. So if you have questions, you can come to that. And that's also offered every month. If we come into the list view, we'll see them all listed. This is not a searchable view, but it is pretty easy to go through and see what's offered every month. If we come into July, we should see our conference. There we go. Oops, it's not on there. But statewide meetings and our conference, of course, is in July. So we can come back over here to navigate. Let's go to curriculum. Curriculum is pretty easy to navigate. We can see all of the different folders, click into employability skills curriculum. Here we go. One thing that Carly highlighted was the scope and sequence, and that is right here at the bottom. If I click on it, it will download onto my computer into my downloads file, and that's where I can find it. You can often find it up at the top of your browser. It'll show what's downloaded. That's another place to find it. But sometimes people will say, oh, where to go? And it's probably in your downloads file. But if I click into team building, for example, that'll show me the lesson plan, the resources folder, and I can pull out what I need. So I can pull out individual activities if I want to, or I can download the entire lesson plan for that section for the Unit 1 team building all in one into a PDF. The toolkit is really similar. Essential Documents is where you spend most of your time as a project search site. And here we have these sections with all of the main components of project search. So if I want to have an employment planning meeting, I can come into employment planning and it will have all of these things. This is also where VoqueFit is. If I want to find the script, I can search and it will open up from all of the folders. So just be aware that the search is going to pull from the whole toolkit, even if you're in a folder. So don't get confused by that. We have a lot of French documents in here. We have a lot of other things. So sometimes people get thrown off by the search, but here we go. Here's my intern script. This is for me because I'm in the US. That's the one I'm going to use. All right. The next section is the staff training, and that's the Project Search Academy. This is where you'll find the trainings. It'll be customized just for you. If you need it in another language, particularly for our French-speaking programs, you can go into French. It will translate it for you. And you can also do subtitles in multiple languages. So this is where you'll find those trainings. The key ones are here. We have Project Search 101, and then these are basic key concepts that are really a great place to get started with your training. So if you are moving on from these pre-recorded trainings and you say, oh, I need more, these are on-demand trainings. They are different from these that you're seeing right now on different topics, but a great way to start. They're about 20 minutes each. Creating an inclusive work environment. This one I will mention to you goes to a public link. So if you're saying, well, does that mean I have to give all of my managers and mentors a login? You don't, because this particular one is a public link for creating an inclusive work environment. It's a great training and it will be shareable. So when you start that training, you can watch it. It'll be in your browser on a separate window and you can share that. Going into the video library, great resource. We are always updating this. There are always new things to find. We are right now leading up to our Austin conference. So we have our preview here. We have our 2025 graduation video. We try to make things easy for you to find. You can also do a list view and do a search and search it in multiple ways, as Carly mentioned. The next thing is PS Let's Chat. This takes us right to Discourse. If I click into it, it takes me to Discourse where I can see my topics. I can see who's talking about what are the hot topics, what are people talking about right now. People are talking about roles and responsibilities. So I could go in and see what they're saying. You can also search. So we have had PS Let's Chat for several years. And when we migrated over to Discourse, we made sure to migrate over all the old content as well. So when you search, you're getting everything that anybody's talked about in PS Let's Chat, all those great resources, all those great conversations from over the years. Coming into reports, we have all kinds of different reports for you to run. I just encourage you to try it out. Run your outcomes, see what it says, ask questions about it to your program specialist if you have them. It might look a little intimidating to run this report, but you will not break it. You can go in, you can use it, you can play with it, see what it does, figure out how to use it. And I think you'll be really impressed. If your boss is asking you, what kind of wage do our interns make when they graduate? Here you go, jobs and wages, and you can run it for the years that you've had your program, and there you go. You'll see what it is. Now, the last thing is VoqueFit. If I go back out to my main page, you'll see that it is a card. VoqueFit is a separate website, but we just wanted to make it easy for you to find. If I click onto this, it'll take me right to the VoqueFit login page and right to the home page where I can log in. So that is the member portal. Again, please reach out to your program specialist if you have questions. And I'll turn it back over to you, Carly, for the last couple of slides.
Thanks, Molly. All right. So basically what we just want to show you is, as Molly said, again, if you have questions, please contact your program specialist. We are a small but mighty team, but there are 7 of us that divide the country or divide internationally, really. So all of the program specialists are listed here. Again, if you're not quite sure how to find your program specialist, it can be found, like we showed you earlier, on the summary or the details tab. So on the summary page, as Molly just showed you when she was doing the live demo, the program specialist is listed in a block right under your graphs. And if you click on the details tab, it's listed right there on the left-hand side of the screen also. So please reach out to your program specialist if you have any questions. We are here to help. Molly and I appreciate you spending your time with us today to go over the member portal, and we hope to see you on another training soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.